But then you start and continue, right? Okay, so good afternoon. Today we have to start chapter number 3, right? So we have to discuss about strategic capacity planning for goods and services. First, take out your books and settle with your books. Right, okay. So now pay attention, right? Stop talking and pay attention. In this chapter, basically we are going to discuss about the strategic capacity planning. That means that first we need to clarify what is capacity planning or what is capacity. Then we are going to discuss about different techniques that organizations use to plan the capacity, as well as we are going to discuss about some like there are certain calculations also that we have to do. If I explain them now, it makes, it will make you a little bit confused because still you don't know anything about this capacity with the content of the chapter. Basically, we have to cover areas like okay, right? What is capacity? Then we have to see different capacity issues. And then we are going to discuss about strategies that we use or the organization use for the capacity management. So in that way, there are certain areas that we have to cover in this chapter. There are small calculations also for this chapter onwards. We are starting to do calculations, right? Here we discuss very small calculation, but still there are certain calculations. We will focus on them also. My way of doing calculations for this. When there are calculations, first I will do some examples with you. Then same time I'm starting to do past paper questions also, right? So that thing will apply for your intake also. But we will do past paper questions also related to all the calculations, right? Okay. We'll start with discussing or analyzing the meaning of capacity. What do you think? What is capacity? If we consider this lecture room, right? This lecture room has a capacity, right? If we consider your mobile phones, it also has a capacity. Even water bottle, right? It has a capacity. Then if we consider manufacturing plants, they also have their own capacity levels. Right? Even with if we consider a hospital or a bank, they are into service sector, but still today they also have different capacity levels. Right? So what is the meaning of capacity? Very good. How much it can produce. That means today, it makes sense for that. The meaning of capacity is basically the maximum capability, right? Maximum capability to produce at a given time period. That is also really important for you need to add this term at a given time period, because if we consider current moment, now this lecture room can accommodate the capacity of this lecture room is 50. It may try 50 or 60. But if they have a plan to expand this classroom by next week, right? Then the capacity of this lecture room is not 50 or 60. It will be changed, right? So the capacity in the sense maximum capability, right? Maximum capability to produce at a given period of time, right? write down the title, write down the topic. Strategic capacity planning for products and services. Then write down the subtopic capacity. Okay, write down. It is the maximum capability. Yes, the maximum capability to produce at a given time period. To produce at a given time period. This is the meaning of capacity. If we consider a manufacturing plant, we describe the capacity of the manufacturing plant based on the maximum capability. Usually we use some outputs that particular plant can produce. Right? We are going to discuss different capacity measures. Right? We'll take one by one and we'll discuss. So then today, the other thing here I want to explain is when it comes to this capacity plan, right? So imagine today there's an organization, right? That organization is manufacturing plastic bottles, right? Currently their capacity is 1,000 number of plastic bottles per day. And that is the production capacity per day, right? So when it comes to this scope for the capacity planning, it's really broad. Mainly, but it focuses on two areas. One is short-term capacity planning or the capacity management as well as long-term. For example, if they have a plan to expand their production plant, like if they have a plan to acquire another manufacturing plant, or if they have a plan to construct another floor, right? Those are long-term for them. Same time, imagine with like if we consider daily production, right? There are certain situations they have to think about recruiting contract basis employees because per day they have a target, right? If they cannot achieve that target within the existing capacity, that means within the existing employees, right? Then they have to recruit some contract basis employees for them. Short term, right? They are managing bottlenecks, limiting factors. Then this employee or the labor hour is a limiting factor. So they need to handle these bottleneck limiting factors. Short term focus, but still really important. They have to think about the capacity. Sometimes they have to think about renting or like taking a machine based on rental basis. If one of the machines, immediately they currently they're experiencing a machine breakdown. So sometimes they have to think about taking a machine based on rental basis. Right? So that is also coming under capacity plan. Right? Managing factors, like if you consider bottlenecks, so the handling or the managing bottlenecks, handling or the managing limiting factors, so those things are coming under short-term capacity management. As well as if we consider going with strategic alliances, acquiring new facilities, those are long-term focused strategic capacity planning, right? So, right on these two also, we will have some examples. strategic capacity planning. Strategic capacity planning can be broadly categorized into the capacity planning can be broadly categorized into put a semicolon, but long-term capacity planning. Long-term capacity planning. I can put two examples, right? Deciding on obtaining, deciding on obtaining economies of scale. Economies of scale. I guess you all know this, but when they are producing more units, right? When they have more capacity to produce more, then they can minimize or reduce the per unit cost, right? Because for example, imagine they are manufacturing. I will take the same example: plastic water bottles, right? So currently for their facilities, I mean they are in the they are not in their own premises, right? For that they have to pay a rental, right? So if we consider rental for it's a fixed amount. So if they are producing 1 unit, they have to pay that. If they are producing 1,000 number of units, still they have to pay that rent. So if we consider if they are producing only few units, then the per unit cost is like, I mean, when we are dividing, imagine for the month, they have to pay a rental of 100,000 rupees, right? So then currently they are producing only 1,000 number of units per month. Then when we are dividing 100,000 by 1,000 number of units, right? So you can get the per unit cost name. Same time, imagine in the same premises, per month they have to pay 100,000 rupees, but now they are producing per month 5,000 number of units. එකම cost එක යටතේ දැන් වැඩිපුර ප්‍රමාණයක් හදනවා. එතකොට ඉබේටම ඔය වගේ like there are lots of cost නේ. So then the unit cost will get decreased. So then when they are manufacturing more units for them, they can reach economies or they can get the benefits of economies of scale, right? So that is one thing. And then for they write down planning to acquire, another example. Planning to acquire a new manufacturing facility. A new manufacturing facility. Then write down to the second one. I mean the second categorization. Short-term capacity management. Short-term capacity management. For that, we don't use the term planning or something. We just mention it as short-term capacity management. Plan and short-term, we manage. Right? Write down two examples. Making product mix decision. Making product mix decision. Making product mix decision. means bottlenecks, limiting factors. The meaning of bottleneck is limiting factors. Bottleneck. This is at the side and the bottlenecks in the limiting factors. What is the process? Yes. Then managing constraints. Second example, so the short-term capacity management. Managing constraints. In a production line process. Managing constraints in the production line process. Right? Okay. This is the process of capacity. This is really easy to understand. Go through the steps. So first we need to evaluate the existing capacity. And that is the starting point. Before moving on to think on different strategies that we can use to expand or manage the capacity, first we need to understand the existing capacity. Then we need to forecast or predict capacity. Then identifying alternative ways to adjust capacity. Here, the other thing is always we think, if you consider the second point, right? First point is clear, evaluating the existing capacity. Second point is forecasting capacity requirements. So sometimes you all may think, but it is always about expanding or like basically enhancing or expanding the capacity. No, but the other part also there are certain situations organizations have to minimize or reduce the capacity as well. I will explain it, right? Then so that's why in some cases organizations are like going with this VRS, right? Voluntary retirement schemes, right? So because they have to limit their production. We'll discuss it. Then identifying alternative ways to adjust the capacity. I will show you there are different strategies with it. So that we can use to adjust capacity. If we consider those different strategies, we can categorize them into short term and the long term also. I will show you. Then I will allow you to write down them also. So there are different strategies. And we have to evaluate those capacity alternatives so that we can use NPV, then break-even, decision trees, right? By applying any of evaluating technique, and we need to select the most appropriate capacity option. So selecting a capacity alternative most appropriate to achieve strategic decision. Then there's something called, since we are learning something related to capacity planning, you all should know this term that I have included it. There's something called the capacity, like this is, when it comes to pronunciations, we pronounce this in different ways with the capacity cushion or the cushion, like in different ways we are pronouncing. But do you all know about this, the capacity cushion or the cushion? You should know that I have included. I know it's not convenient to you, that's why I have included it also. It's not clear things. The meaning of capacity quotient is. Do you have any idea? It's a kind of habituation. Did you find the meaning of capacity quotient? The answer is calculated. So in some organizations, you can find this capacity quotient. So they keep an excess capacity to face unexpected situations with it, right? So there can be sometimes when demand increase, right? So in order to face unexpected situations related to demand or any other environmental changes with it, they keep a capacity quotient. That means an excess amount of capacity, right? Correct. So then before moving on to an activity, read this for them. Read this. This time, let me today, you all are not giving the attention. Last rows. Give the attention to this. So here this slide explains the importance of capacity planning, right? The importance or the benefits of capacity planning. First read, then I will give you two examples for each benefit. First read, then I will give you examples. Budgeting benefit and other scaling benefit. Read it. Example today, if we consider budgeting scale, the simple meaning of it is, imagine today, there's an organization. That organization has a clear capacity plan, right? They know, right? Okay, if we consider this much, this is the amount that we are going to produce, and this much of employees we have to maintain, this much of this much of unit we have to produce, this much of machines we have to maintain, this much of employees we have to maintain. In that way, because they have a clear plan, right? So when they have a clear plan regarding the capacity, they can use it for the budget input. That means we have to, like organizations have to prepare budgets, right? So when they know the exact number of employees that they are going to keep in their factories, right? That information they can use for the budgeting purpose, right? As well as like when they are thinking about the machine hours, everything, we have to consider the expenses in the budget. They can, if the capacity plan is an accurate one, then their budgets also will become more accurate. You can have the capacity base budget accurate, right? Because we can find the quantities, periods from the capacity plan. From the capacity plan, we can identify the quantities as well as when, right? When they are producing more, when they are producing less, everything they can find from the capacity plan, right? Based on that, they can adjust the budget as well, right? That is budgeting. Then read the scaling benefit. The company is thinking about hiring additional people to assess meet projected demand based on estimate. They need new equipment, specialized skills, or the larger workplace for staff. From capacity plan, right? From the capacity plan, the nicely showing today. month of January, the worker requirement is this 100. If we consider the month of February, the worker requirement is 150. Month of March, worker requirement is 80. In that way, like it's nicely showing the worker requirement. This is just an example. Worker requirement is only one thing that they include in the capacity plans. So based on that, then they can change their facilities also. It's just that's why now. මේ පුරොස්සන සමහර අය ඉන්නේ ඉරිටේටින් okay. Based on that worker requirements, right, then they can decide other facilities because when they are increasing the number of employees, simultaneously or parallelly, they have to increase the equipment also. We have to give them tools, right, and we have to arrange the facilities also, right? So all those things depends on this so-called capacity plan, right? So scale, like they can accurately scale if they have a proper capacity plan. මිනිස්සු වැඩි වෙන ප්‍රමාණය අඩු වෙන ප්‍රමාණය ඉතුරු ඒවත් එහෙමයි. ඒ අනුව ඔබට ඒගොල්ලන්ට adjust කරගන්න පුළුවන් tools, equipment, facilities හැමදේම. හරියට capacity plan එකක් if they have, right? These two things can be tested for the like for a kind of 4 marks assigned question can be tested in the examination. Therefore, briefly write down the meanings of these two benefits. Use your own words. These two benefits and the star marks for a kind of 4 marks assigned question can be tested. Importance of capacity planning, benefits of capacity planning. You can use any importance, benefits. Maybe I explain it to you, but use your own words. Take the meaning and write down the explanation in your own words by using your own words. ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ තේසි ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවානේ. Don't write down the same thing, but they first read it. Right? I have explained also on it. So then develop your own explanation for each benefit. give you 1 minute, just complete the explanations with it. Then we can move on to the other areas of the chapter. Even the data can be tested as I'm right now. For a kind of significant marks assigned question, but marks assigned question can be tested. Finish with it. Shall we move on to the next area? Right. Okay. Finish it. Everybody, do you have an idea about this make or buy decision? Don't have to learn. I mean, like management accounting or advanced management accounting, or costing. I don't have to learn this with it. Make or buy decision. Make or buy decision also coming under this capacity planning. The thing is with it, if the capacity is, like for example, imaging, that's a company, they manufacture, will take backpacks, right? Bags. So then currently they have received different orders. If we consider the total quantity per month, like within 1 month time, they have to produce 100,000 of backpacks, right? If they consider their existing capacity, their employees, their machines, available production hours, right? When they consider all these things, right, facilities and everything, they realize that they identified that maximum capacity is to, like, they can produce 70,000 number of backpacks per month, right? So then there's a deficit. So they have 100, I mean, like if we consider the demand, it's not the forecasted demand, actually they have, if we consider the total quantity that they have to produce within 1 month period is equal to 100,000 units, right? Now after analyzing, like critically analyzing, they realize that they can only produce 70,000 bags, right? Then there's a deficit of 30,000. So now they have to think with a strategy to address this deficit, right? They received the order and they have accepted it also, right? They have accepted it also. So now they have to think a strategy in terms of producing this deficit of 30,000 number of bags. Then one of the options available with it, they can outsource this, right? They can outsource this. Okay. So then outsource in the sense that they are going to like make or buy decision is something. This it's not totally similar to the explanation that I'm giving you. I will explain it next. So here, if they cannot finish this or accommodate this deficit of 30,000, then they're going for an outsourcing option, right? Then they decide, okay, we are not going to make this 30,000 by, I mean, like they have different strategies, but they can work overtime, they can recruit more employees, right? Somehow, they can purchase some new machines, right? But they decide, no, we are not going to make them, right? After calculating the cost of those alternative capacity options, that they have realized that if they're going to manufacture them in-house, then they have to bear a significant cost. So then they're deciding to outsource. Then when they take the total cost of outsourcing option, they have realized that it's lower than the manufacturing cost. I mean, making inside cost, right? Then what they do is they outsource. But this outsourcing is really critical or crucial because today, like, it directly creates impact on the quality of the product. Right? It's very strategic decision. So when they're deciding, okay, cost-wise, it's better to go with outsourcing option. Same time, they have to think about the quality, right? So that's why this make or buy decision coming under the capacity planning. So that is also just keep it in your mind. That is for your information, right? Then write down the subtopic strategies for strategies for strategies for the plan. Sorry for that. I made a mistake. Strategies for capacity adjustment, not planning. Strategies for capacity adjustments. Can you practical think and tell me what are the available strategies to adjust the capacity, to change the capacity, to amend the capacity? Imagine this campus wants to adjust the capacity. What are the options that they have today? If they want to adjust this capacity, they want to expand. Imagine in this is a kind of a hypothetical thing. I don't know the exact figures. Within the given, within the existing resources and facilities, they can accommodate maximum of, we take it like average 70. Imagine with like they can accommodate maximum of 500 students per day, right? Within the facility, right? So they can accommodate only for like 500 students, right? Now they need to expand this capacity for it, right? So what are the options they have in terms of adjusting this capacity? Yes. So accessing a new building, right? Acquiring a new building, like moving to a new building. Two options, but we can go for a rental basis or we can acquire, right? We can purchase. True. Yes. Practically think to live with it. So they can sometimes put a schedule lectures for 2 shifts or kind of like, I mean, morning and evening, right? That is also possible, right? For my lecture hours, like they are planning to conduct a lecture series, I mean, like from 8 to 2, then again 3 to 8 or something like that, right? Shifts. Okay. So then the morning students are leaving, then the evening students are arriving or coming. But then they can balance the facility, right? One option. Think about a manufacturing company. Strategies for the imaging. Currently, they can produce 1,000 number of units per day, right? Within the existing employees and the resources. They want to expand this number to 2,000 number of units per day. Right? And so what are the available options? How they can expand this capacity? Very good. One is they can apply overtime, right? OT. Okay. Let me show you. There are like different strategies. Write down first. Short-term strategies. The subtopic short-term strategies. In this list, and write down any 3 strategies which you feel easy to recall. Production at a constant rate. That means that they don't change the production rate. So the attention please. They are not changing the production rate, right? So they manufacture same number of units during the period, right? Production at a constant rate and using inventories to address fluctuations in demand. Right? That is called level production. We are going to learn it today. Then hiring and firing workers. That is also possible to if they want to expand capacity, they can hire employees. Same time, if they want to increase or reduce the capacity, they can fire employees. Then make any resources for higher demand levels, right? Capacity cushion or something like that. Then changing working hours, like applying overtime, OT, go for subcontracting or the outsourcing. Then using part-time workers or the contract basis workers. Backordering. What is the meaning of backordering? That means that backordering in the sense, imagine currently today, I will use these examples in order to make you all understandable. Currently, company can manufacture 1,000 number of units, right? But today they realize that they have potential. I mean, they have a demand of 1,500 units, right? Forecasted demand. So if they apply backordering, what they do with it, when the customers are placing orders, they accept it, right? What they do is they like accept it and they say, okay, so we can accept this. We are delivering the product. So no, before this day, they are giving a period. They are not going to give the items at that moment. They take the order and after a certain period of time, they are delivering that product to the customer. That's order. Orders is not the orders to because it's right? Capacity they deliver the products to the customers. That is back ordering. Right? They don't reject the customer orders, they accept and keep them in the list, right? And for the customers, they are giving a promise date. So then they are delivering it before that promise date. Right? Right now, maybe 3 from this list today. These are short-term strategies. Then I will show you long-term strategies. the subcontracting today, you can put a slash and write down outsourcing as well. It's different, right? When it comes to the industries, the articulation of these two terms are different, but still right now it's subcontracting slash outsourcing. When it comes to construction people, we don't use outsourcing, but we say subcontracting. Company will run the parallel subcontracting and we don't use the term outsourcing. Then write down the subtopic, long-term strategies. These are long-term strategies, right? Establishing new facilities. When they're constructing a new facility, that comes under long-term strategy, right? Then recruiting more permanent, not contract basis, permanent, not part-time or the contract basis employees. If the company recruits permanent staff, that is coming under long-term, right? Then outsourcing based on long-term agreements, not short-term. Outsourcing through, we have discussed outsourcing under short-term also. Here, outsourcing based on long-term agreements, more than 1 year. Right? Then mergers and acquisitions as well as strategic alliances. Write down any three from these different options. Be careful today if you are writing outsourcing, it is rather definitely mentioned based on long-term agreements. I mean more than 1 year. Long-term contracts or long-term agreements, more than 1 year period. Then here VR is in the sense recruiting more permanent staff members. Plus today I have included something called VRS, that means voluntary retirement scheme. If they want to request one of their permanent staff members to leave the organization, right? It's a huge process for the permanent employee. If they want to freeze the capacity and if they realize that they want to fire some permanent employees, they cannot fire employees as they wish to them, right? So then they can introduce these VRS schemes, they can a voluntary retirement schemes. So then what company does, they give a compensation for the employee for them. They can voluntary employee voluntary අයින් වෙනවා වගේ අදහසක් පුතේ. එයා voluntary අයින් වෙනවා ඒකට compensation එකක් දෙනවා company එකේ. Right? So voluntary retirement scheme. VRS for the permanent staff members. VRS are not for contract basis or the part-time workers. Right? Okay. Then we'll go for the activity. But let me first explain. Then we will do small activity. It's not a group activity, individual activity. Not an assignment. Subtopic capacity measures. Measures of capacity. Measures of capacity or the measures of operations capacity. Okay. How do we define the capacity of sub-campus? Based on what? Based on students. Students in the sense like number of students that they can accommodate, or like based on the number of seats that they have, right? True. So then for example, imagine that the sub-campus measure their capacity based on the available seats of the chairs, right? Then these chairs or the chair is an input or an output. Process think about the service process, right? If we consider this chair, is it an input or an output? It's an input with it, right? But it's totally, this is a service sector organization, but it's totally different with it. If we consider a manufacturing company, right? Mostly they use number of production units to measure their production capacity. They, like for an example, if we consider apparel manufacturing company, they define their capacity based on the number of production units that they can produce, right? 1,000 number of garments per day, 5,000 number of pieces per day, right? Output base karenge, right? So basically, we can categorize capacity measures or the measures of operation capacity into two. One is input measures, right? Another one is output measures. Let me explain first. Write down to the input measures. Some examples also. Write down the subtopic input measures. This is mostly used in, write down to that. This is input measures. Right for about to connect it, like I'm giving you the explanation. This is mostly used in in mathematics use. This is mostly used by organizations like so you have written like the line, put a semicolon, then write down first point. Producing standardized product. I have given you inputs there. Producing customized products. Producing customized products. Low volume production. Low volume production. Organizations like two characteristics: producing customized products and low volume production. Then write down examples. You can write down to say customized furniture makers, customized or customized furniture makers, custom or the customized furniture makers, designer wear shops, designer wear shops, service organizations like hospitals, then write down second one, output measures of capacity. Second one is it. Output measures of capacity. This capacity measurement option, this capacity measurement option is more appropriate for the more appropriate for the organizations like then I don't know, they put a semicolon and this time it's producing standardized products. Similar, standardized products. Producing standardized products. Instead of low volume, now it's high volume. High volume productions. Standards in the sense, but all the production units are similar. That's not very unique. No, so like totally same. Write down examples. Apparel manufacturing. Examples. Apparel manufacturing. Automobile manufacturing. Then take a write down any other example with the milk powder manufacturing. There are a lot. Write down any other example. Right? So now for today you do one activity, then I will give you a short break. I will write down a list of companies. Right? Then you all have to clearly mention today what is the most appropriate capacity measurement, whether it's input or output measure, as well as you need to give me an example. If you are telling it's output measure, then tell me what is the example, right? One example. So first I will write down the list, and I will allow you to write down them as well. Okay. Yes, these are the eight companies. Figure out with what is the most appropriate operating capacity measure, whether it's input or output. If you are telling us it's input, then give me an example. If you are telling output, for that you need to give me an example. If you are telling it related to the output, right, then you need to specifically mention what is the output to this, right? For the input, like this is, I'm looking example especially for the input to this. If you are telling input, then tell me exactly like what type of an input. I will give you maximum of 5 minutes. Right, okay. Right, okay. Tell me, what is the most appropriate capacity measure for aircraft manufacturing company? Output. That means based on number of aircraft that they are manufacturing. If you have written, that is correct, right? That is correct. If you have written input measure, right? Then what can be the answer? I mean, what can be an example? Aircraft manufacturing. Because if you manufacturing, right? In that case, someone can argue the most appropriate capacity measure is input. That is also there if we consider volume, right? Aircraft manufacturing volume is comparatively low, right? Then if you have written it as input measure, that is also correct, right? Then you can mention based on number of inputs can be based on skill technicians or the yes, technicians or the engineers. Input measure. A company in engineers, technicians, some technical capacity can be dependent. Right? True. If you have written input measure and write down valid example for it. In the examination also put there. This is very open question, right? So If you can give me a correct example, then I will give you marks, right? Then airline, output or input? Input. Yeah, the thing is, let us who have, I mean, like, who are written it as output. Then input. See, you all also can understand it today. So it's based on the way that we are perceiving it, right? It's like very subjective. If we consider an airline, sometimes you may argue we can measure the capacity based on the number of passengers that we can accommodate. Passenger in the sense that is the outcome of input, right? So customer. Same time you all will argue based on the available number of seats. Seats in the sense it's an input, right? And then they have a valid answer for this input measures, right? Passengers also based on the number of seats. Right? It's better to go with input measures, right? Based on number available seats. It's input good, right? It's input based on the number of employees, based on the machines, right? Based on the machines and based on number of employees, right? Skilled employees. Sugar manufacturing company, it's output. Right? There are no many doubts with it. It's very clear, right? Sugar manufacturing output based on number of units that organization produce, based on number of sugar quantity, kilo or the ton or whatever, right? Retail supermarket chain. Retail supermarket chain. It's based on inputs. It's based on inputs. It's based on input, based on the practical thing with it, based on the space. Right? Primarily, if we consider the factors with it, one thing that we need to primarily consider is the space. Space in the sense it's an input. Right? Number of racks or the displays. Right? So you have it's based on inputs. Right? Input measures. So the space facility then what is if we go with inputs, tell me another example for this. Based on number of counters. Based on number of counters. Given everything depends on that. Based on number of counters. Then toys manufacturing, its output. Number of toys. School, its input. Number of chairs available in the classrooms. School, input. Right? Input. Number of chairs available in the classrooms. Power generation plant, again, kind of a doubtful point. Some of you may argue. Based on output, we define the capacity of power generation plant. Same time, because the another student can argue, no, it can be input measure because the power generation plants are highly capital intensive. Right? The product is standardized. It's not just standardized, 100% standardized. And the volume also, it's really high. You can go with output, But if someone's arguing, I mean, like, if someone is arguing for input measure, then you need to write down the valid example. You can mention available machines, right? Power generation machines. If you are correctly mentioning an example for input measure, then I'm giving you the mark. But most correct answer is out. Output measure today. It's output. Output. Input measures and consider Right, okay, so next is you can take the break. After the break, we will move on to do the calculation. Take the break. Today, shall we start? You were not there. You were not there yet? Yes. Right, okay. Quickly say. Okay. Here today, in this slide, we are discussing about different types of capacity. Right? Not capacity measures, different types of capacities. Right? For example, let me explain because next we are going to calculate efficiency rate. And utilize it still on a homogeneous equation. So now pay attention. Here we are discussing about different types of capacities, right? If we consider a manufacturing company, there are different types, not capacity measures, right? Capacity measures are input measures and the output measures, right? Here we are going to focus on different capacity types. Based on these capacity types, we calculate utilization rate, efficiency rate, and I will explain. Design capacity. Design capacity. The output of system. Imagine that an apparel manufacturing company according to their technical specifications, right? Technical plans, technical design within the existing facility, right? With the existing resources, they can produce maximum of 5,000 units per day. It's technical, but based on the technical specification, based on the plan, right? That is design capacity. Then there's something called effective capacity. Practically, if we analyze the organizational context, there are certain problems because sometimes there are machine breakdowns, right? There are issues with employees, right? Due to some operational constraints, right, they cannot produce that 5,000 number of units, even though the design capacity is 5,000. Right? Due to some operational constraints, operational limitations, operational problems, they cannot produce that 5,000 number of units. Right? Due to those reasons, they assume company can produce maximum of 4,000. They have to consider that also. Average would they can go through the historical data and they can that can be some operational issues, right? Machine breakdowns, employee problems, right? Due to that, they can maximum produce 4,000 number of units. That is for effective capacity. Right? And the last one is from the term also you can understand at the end the number of units that they have design එකට ගන්නවා plan එකට ගන්නවා උදාහරණ කරනවා ඊට පස්සේ වෙන්න පුළුවන් ප්‍රශ්න consider right at the end of they are actually producing only 3,500. That's actual capacity. So in order to calculate efficiency rate, utilization rate, we need to have a clear idea of these three types of capacities. That I have explained. Let me show you the formulas that we use to calculate efficiency rate and the utilization rates of companies, right? Let me write down this. You also have to write down these two formulas. First, write down utilization rate. Right, okay, I've done these two formulas. Then we'll move on to, I will give a question, then we'll do partial question. Lastly, consider have joined us this great name. No, they don't do that, right? This time, you won't have attendance, you have to be there sharp at 12 o'clock or at least 12:50. Only they are giving you attendance. But the bag is going to be that may have very hard books. I don't think so. Question. ABC company, write down ABC company. Write down the question. ABC company produces electrical items in bulk. ABC company produces electrical items in bulk. According to the standards, ABC company can produce 2,000 items per day. 2,000. There are 2,000 items per day. However, ABC company can only produce. ABC company can only produce 1,750 electrical items per day. 1,750 electrical items per day due to some operational issues. The actual production is, continue, the actual production is 1,600 electrical items. As I said, 1,600 electrical items according to the daily production reports. Requirement. This one. Identify the effective capacity. Identify the effective capacity per day of ABC company. Second requirement, calculate capacity utilization rate and efficiency rate of ABC company. Quickly calculate.
I don't know. Go on.
Don't change how to change the running. They feel hard to stay with everything in Koda Kata, so now it's 17. I made it to 27. Now again, like you all have put it to 17. So you cannot do that, Uday. It's not nice. Right? You cannot do that. So now I'm changing. If you want to change it, just discuss with your friends and change. Right? ඔබට ප්‍රශ්න ඇති සමානව ප්‍රශ්න ඇති I can understand. එතකොට ඒගොල්ලෝ මේ කතා කරලා ආයෙ ටෙම්පරේචර් ටික අඩු කරගන්න. අනිත් කියනවා මම චේන්ජ් කරපු ගමන් එහෙම චේන්ජ් කරන එක වැරදි ළමයි, right? So you all need to maintain discipline. I change it based on the student request. Right? You all need to maintain discipline. Right, okay. What is the effective capacity? First, you need to identify the effective capacity. What is the effective capacity? 1,000 and 1,750. Right? Then what is the utilization rate? Then the efficiency rate? Since it's a rate, you need to show the answer as a percentage. It's a rate, so you need to keep the answer as a percentage. utilization rate is 80%, right? So the actual output is 1,600, right? In information, it's clearly mentioning the design capacity is according to the standard. That means according to the specification. That is the maximum bullet. So they can produce 2,000. That is also you can find from the question. So then 1,600 divided by 2,000 and multiply by 100. The answer becomes as 80%. Right? So then the efficiency rate now. If you have finished, just download 18-day weekday past paper. 18-day weekday past paper. No need to download by everyone today. Just one student can download it and share it to the group. Whatever the thing like you can buy. 18-day weekday past paper. So the efficiency rate is 91.43%. Okay. First download 18-day weekday fast paper, then I will tell you the question number. 18-day weekday question number. You can see that the question format is totally same. Question number 3, sub question number 3. Main question number 3 and sub question number 3. Change it. More or less the same. You to do is you are to practice with this home unit subscription. So that I'm asking, otherwise there are simulating. That's okay. I mean, like, the difference is only with the actual output. First, you need to find the effective capacity. The effective capacity is 1,600. Right, it's same. And it's just a matter of substituting the figures with the formula. If you can keep these two formulas in your mind, you can write for 6 marks. Effective capacity 2 marks. Then for the utilization rate 2 marks. For the efficiency rate 2 marks. Then altogether 6 marks. In the examination, I don't give you the formula, right? So you need to remember these two formulas. The utilization rate today is 93.75%. Right? And the efficiency rate efficiency rate is 9.75. Utilization rate, let me calculate, right? Efficiency rate should be 93.75. So then let me calculate the utilization rate. Okay. So with this today I will conduct the session, right? I mean the content. Next week we will move on to discuss the selection, right? So there are calculations, right?